What if everything you thought was solid, fixed, and outside your control was actually waiting for your command? Reality isn't a rigid structure. It's a living, breathing field of energy, constantly reshaping itself in response to you. Most people drift through life unconscious of this power, believing they must wait, hope, or struggle for change. But a small few know the secret. Your energy is the instrument that tunes the world around you. In this audiobook, Reality Hacking Formula, you're going to discover what was never taught in any school or written in any mainstream manual. This isn't about hoping things will improve. This is about becoming the force that makes things shift. You'll uncover how to deliberately manipulate your own energy field, aligning it with unseen quantum mechanics that are always at work, so that your reality has no choice but to respond. The formula you're about to learn isn't magic. It's a science of personal power that transcends ordinary cause and effect thinking. By understanding and applying these principles, you will trigger quantum events, sudden, powerful changes that seem impossible to outsiders, but inevitable to those who understand the hidden mechanics of reality. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more wondering when your breakthrough will arrive. It's time to become the initiator of quantum shifts. It's time to learn how to hack reality itself. If you feel the shift already stirring within you, type "I am the force" in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep teachings that unlock your hidden power. Chapter 1. The Invisible Code Beneath Reality. Reality is not a solid thing that exists apart from you. It is much closer to a flexible field that listens and responds to what you send into it. Every moment, you are unknowingly sending energetic commands into this field through what you focus on, what emotions you sustain, and what inner states you allow to take root. Reality itself behaves like an instruction-responsive system, quietly waiting for consistent energetic signals to determine how it should arrange the events, people, and opportunities that appear before you. It does not judge these signals as good or bad. It does not think for itself. It simply processes and delivers according to the energetic instructions it receives. Inside this vast field, your emotions and focus create what could be called energy imprints. These imprints are not random. They are structured patterns, almost like blueprints, that tell reality what kinds of forms it should build next in your life. Over time, when the same emotional signals and thought patterns are repeated, these imprints harden into what can be called reality templates. A reality template is not just a single event. It is a complex living pattern that begins attracting experiences, conditions, and even chance encounters that match the original energetic structure you sent. Once a template is installed, future events naturally follow its path, often without your conscious awareness of how it was built in the first place. A major force that shapes these templates is what could be called the command frequency principle. This principle explains why fleeting emotions or passing thoughts rarely change anything meaningful. Reality does not immediately respond to momentary wishes or casual ideas. It is the steady, repeated emotional resonance you hold that reality treats as a non-negotiable instruction. When an emotional frequency is held long enough and with enough depth, it becomes something reality cannot ignore. It locks onto that consistent command and begins reorganizing the quantum field around you to match it. The more stable and enduring the emotional signal, the stronger its authority over the unfolding of physical reality. In a sense, reality treats consistency as truth, regardless of whether the emotion behind it is excitement, fear, love, or despair. However, the human experience is often confusing because of something that could be called the hidden processing delay. This delay is not visible to the eye, but it exists between the energetic command you send out and the actual arrival of its physical reflection. Many people assume reality is static or random because they do not immediately see the results of their energetic transmissions. Yet the quantum field operates with timing that is not synchronized with the human mind's expectations. Commands are processed, translated, and materialized according to rhythms that are invisible. During the delay period, reality is not ignoring your input. It is working behind the scenes, reconfiguring pathways, events, and timelines to accommodate the instructions it has received. Mistaking the delay for failure often causes people to shift their energetic output too soon, leading to unfinished templates that collapse before reaching full manifestation. At the center of this entire interaction between you and the field is what can be described as your energy signature. This is the composite frequency you broadcast through your emotional tone, mental focus, and inner expectations at any given time. It is not a fixed identity, but a living, changing pattern that acts like a master key to the quantum field. The nature of your energy signature determines which doors open for you and which remain sealed. Some opportunities remain invisible not because they do not exist, but because the current key you are using, your energetic state, does not match the lock. Fine-tuning your energy signature, making it cleaner, more aligned, and more stable, is equivalent to forging new master keys that can unlock realities you previously could not access. In the landscape of reality programming, nothing is personal, emotional, or moral. The field does not respond to what you deserve, wish for, or work hard for. It responds to the pure architecture of the energy you consistently emit. The dots. Whether knowingly or not, you are always writing instructions into the invisible code of your reality. When those instructions become clear, powerful, and stable, reality has no choice but to bend and reshape itself around you, arranging its infinite particles into the mirror image of the command you have installed. The invisible world is not passive. It is waiting, listening, and preparing to deliver exactly what you are energetically demanding, even if you do not realize you are doing it. Understanding this programming mechanism changes the way reality is approached. It stops being a passive environment to react to and instead becomes a living system that can be engaged, shaped, and designed through intentional, energetic communication. The field itself is intelligent, but not in the way human intelligence works. It responds to frequency, stability, and clarity, not to words, desires, or outward actions. When seen through this lens, reality becomes less mysterious and more like a vast, living architecture of response, where every emotional tone and every internal pattern is silently setting into motion the blueprints of the future. Chapter 2. Disrupting the Default Timeline. Most people live their lives on a path they did not consciously choose. From a very young age, they are carried by the momentum of the world around them, by traditions, by expectations, by the common rhythm of society. This momentum acts like a river current, pulling people forward into futures that look almost identical to the past. Without realizing it, individuals get locked into predictable future scripts where the same types of relationships, struggles, successes, and routines keep repeating themselves. This automatic flow is not because of fate or destiny. It happens because the energy fields surrounding the individual and the collective have built so much motion in a single direction that it takes real disruption to escape it. The autopilot current is strong because most people do not even know they are swimming in it. Disrupting this powerful momentum does not require massive actions or sudden life overhauls. In fact, it is the smallest, most consistent energetic shifts that create the deepest cracks in the old timeline. This can be thought of as the micro-rebellion method. Instead of trying to fight the river all at once, tiny energetic deviations are made steadily over time. Each small change in focus, each slight redirection of inner attention creates little disturbances in the current. Though these disturbances seem insignificant at first, when repeated day after day, they grow stronger. Over time, the default momentum starts to weaken. The current is no longer able to carry the individual in the same way because too many small rebellions have fractured its smooth, unquestioned flow. One of the most powerful forces in disrupting the default timeline is a phenomenon that could be called field fragmentation dynamics. When focus and energy are shifted away from old habitual patterns, the energetic field surrounding a person begins to fracture. It does not shatter in a violent way, but it starts to open tiny cracks. Each crack weakens the old structures that held predictable outcomes in place. These fractures create spaces in the energy field where new, unknown possibilities can start to grow. If the focus remains divided from the old patterns long enough, the fractures widen until large sections of the old field collapse. When this happens, reality is no longer locked into the same sequence of events that would have otherwise unfolded automatically. The feeling of disruption becomes undeniable when the collapse of predictability takes place. This is the moment when the familiar patterns of life stop behaving the way they used to. Things that once seemed certain become unstable. People who used to act in predictable ways begin to surprise you. Opportunities that would have never appeared before suddenly show up. From the outside, it might look like coincidence or randomness, but internally, it is the direct result of breaking the old energetic commands that were locking future events into place. Real quantum events, the kind that change the course of your life, cannot occur while the old timeline remains unbroken. The old structures must be cracked, destabilized, and made fluid again before new configurations can form. The collapse is not a punishment or a loss. It is the clearing away of rigid scripts that no longer serve the potential that now wants to emerge. At the heart of this process is becoming what could be called an anomaly node. An anomaly is something that does not fit the old pattern. It is unpredictable, unstable from the system's point of view, and because of that, it forces everything around it to adjust. When an individual begins to live in a way that energetically defies the old timelines, not through rebellion against others, but by refusing to radiate the same old signals, the field has no choice but to reorganize around them. The quantum field treats them as a variable that cannot be ignored. The field must respond to the energetic inconsistency by rearranging possibilities. Instead of flowing forward on the well-worn track, the future around the anomaly starts branching in unexpected ways. New pathways, relationships, events, and ideas emerge because the timeline itself has been disturbed. Becoming an anomaly is not about chaos for its own sake. It is about stepping outside of the stale patterns that would have otherwise trapped life into endless loops. It is about introducing a living, breathing presence into a system that had become mechanical and unconscious. The energy of an anomaly is alive because it is not shackled to expectation. It carries the power to call forth outcomes that are not simply extensions of the past. Through the act of energetic unpredictability, steady, intentional, and sustained, the individual opens doors that were never available while they remained inside the autopilot current. The quantum field respects anomaly energy because it signals true freedom from old scripts. The nature of the default timeline is that it is built for stability, not for true change. It wants to keep repeating itself because repetition requires no extra energy. To disrupt it, there must be enough living energy, enough deviation, enough persistent unpredictability to shake the structure at its roots. Tiny micro-rebellions, focus shifts, field fragmentations, and the collapse of old expectations all add up to create an energy signature that no longer fits the mold. In this space beyond the mold, new timelines become possible, and the rigid control of the autopilot current fades. Reality is no longer a river carrying you. It becomes a flexible, shifting sea responding to every new energetic wave you choose to create. Chapter 3. Energy Sculpting Techniques. Life is not something you are meant to simply react to. Every second you are sending out patterns into the unseen field around you, shaping the way reality moves toward you. Instead of living passively, it is possible to sculpt this energy field the same way a sculptor shapes a block of stone. To do this, you must first understand the density versus flow spectrum. Every thought, feeling, and choice carries a certain energetic weight. Some energies are dense, heavy, and resistant, like thick mud. Others are light, fluid, and flexible, like a soft breeze. When your field becomes too dense, it hardens the possibilities around you. Events move slowly or feel stuck because your field is holding too much resistance. When your field becomes too light, it may lack enough form to pull anything substantial into reality. The key is not to always be light or always be dense. It is to recognize what you are projecting at any given moment and adjust it, like tuning an instrument. Sometimes you need strong, grounded energy to stabilize a major change. Other times you need light, quick energy to let new openings form. Being aware of your density and flow gives you the power to shape how the field behaves around you. Another powerful technique involves precision emotional injection. Instead of letting emotions randomly rise and fall based on outer events, you can learn to implant highly specific emotional frequencies at certain moments. Think of it like inserting a new ingredient into a recipe at just the right time to change the whole flavor. When something important is unfolding, whether it is a conversation, a decision, or even a small inner shift, you can choose a specific emotional energy to inject into that moment. For example, injecting a feeling of steady certainty into a situation where doubt would normally exist sends a completely different command to the field. Reality responds not to your surface level thoughts, but to the core emotional frequencies you hold at critical junctures. These emotional injections act like energetic signatures written onto the timeline, subtly but powerfully changing the paths that branch out from that moment. Energy sculpting also works across time through a method called temporal layering. Instead of only shaping the energy of the current moment, you can intentionally lay down different energetic states across future moments, like stacking layers of paint on a canvas. This is not about predicting the future. It is about planting energetic seeds that will grow into future structures. Each emotional or mental state you intentionally radiate for specific imagined points ahead, like an upcoming meeting, An important choice, or a life change, adds a layer. Over time, these layers build up a new path. The future becomes less a mystery and more a reflection of the energetic layers you have been consistently stacking. This layering method weaves your energy through time, preparing fields in advance that later bloom into opportunities, relationships, or changes you would not have seen if you had left the path unshaped. Another dynamic at play in energy sculpting is something called the elastic reality effect. Reality is not rigid. It stretches and contracts based on the intensity and buildup of energy at certain points. When you apply strong, consistent, energetic pressure toward a certain opening, reality stretches toward that outcome. But if too much force is applied without readiness, it snaps back like a rubber band pulled too far too quickly. Understanding this elasticity means you can sense when to apply pressure, when to allow release, and how much tension the field can handle without breaking alignment. Skilled sculptors of energy know how to push the field toward desired outcomes without creating stress that rebounds against them. They sense the build-up points where energy is naturally ready to stretch and move. Working with the field's elasticity allows major changes to happen smoothly rather than through struggle. At the very fine level of energy sculpting lies what can be called the fractal amplification strategy. Every small pulse of energy you send out is not isolated. It ripples out, affecting the larger structure of your life field. Like a single drop causing waves across a vast pond, tiny energetic actions at the micro level can create macro shifts that seem much larger than the original effort. Choosing a single moment of clarity over confusion, or holding one instance of deep trust instead of fear, may seem small, but each sends fractal ripples outward. These ripples touch larger structures of your timeline, subtly altering their arrangement. Over time, a series of small but precise energetic actions can lead to massive reality transformations that seem almost magical. The amplification happens because the quantum field recognizes patterns, and it magnifies whatever patterns are repeated with enough coherence. Energy sculpting is not about force, resistance, or desperate chasing of outcomes. It is about understanding the living, breathing relationship between your inner state and the outer unfolding of events. Every shift you make in your density, every precise emotional pulse you inject, every future moment you layer with intention, every stretch you create in the elastic field, and every micro-action you repeat with precision, all combine to reshape your personal reality map. It is not a sudden act, nor a one-time event. It is an ongoing, dynamic dance between you and the unseen forces that are constantly listening and responding to the energy you sculpt into the world around you. Chapter 4. Cracking the Probability. Lattice. Reality is built like a massive web of possibilities woven together in invisible threads. This web is not solid or final. It shifts depending on how energy interacts with it. Yet even though the web is flexible, most people move through only a tiny part of it. This is because of something called the lattice lock phenomenon. When you live by repeating the same emotions, reactions, and focus points, you strengthen only a small section of the probability web. It becomes harder and harder to see or experience options outside of that narrow track. Even though infinite other paths exist all around, they remain invisible, unreachable, like doors hidden behind a wall you do not know is there. The web seems solid because you have locked into it by habit. But the truth is that with the right shifts, the lattice can be cracked open to expose new paths. One of the ways to unlock these hidden paths is by finding and using energetic overriding points. These are critical choice nodes, small moments where your direction is actually open, but you usually default to the familiar. These points are not announced with flashing signs. They often feel ordinary, even boring. But at these moments, if a strong enough energetic deviation is introduced, it can overwrite the path you were automatically going to follow. It is like changing tracks on a train, just seconds before reaching the fork. Instead of continuing toward a predictable future, you suddenly branch onto a completely different course. Identifying these overriding points requires sensitivity to when an inner tug, a subtle pull toward something unfamiliar, briefly appears. Hijacking that moment energetically can reroute the entire trajectory of events that would have otherwise seemed inevitable. Sometimes opening a new path requires more than just noticing a choice point. It requires creating a disruption in the normal flow of reality itself. This is where the technique of reality glitch injection comes in. A glitch is a small but sharp moment where the normal continuity of your life experience breaks or flickers. This can be triggered by a sudden energetic shock, a thought, feeling, or action so out of your usual patterns that it creates a tiny crack in the web. In that brief crack, the hidden structures behind reality become more accessible. When the glitch occurs, reality is momentarily unstable. And in that instability, you can slip sideways into new possibilities that are usually blocked by the tightness of the normal lattice. It is important to understand that these glitches are not accidents. They can be purposefully caused through energetic disruption at critical times when the web is thin. There are rare moments when the web of probabilities becomes naturally unstable without any deliberate action. These are known as the windows of quantum instability. During these times, the entire lattice loosens, and many unusual paths briefly become available. These windows can be triggered by outer events that cause widespread energetic chaos, massive shifts in collective emotion, sudden changes in environment, or powerful shocks to a system. But they can also arise in personal life when everything seems to break loose at once. Relationships end, jobs change, health shifts dramatically. In these windows, the normal rules do not fully apply. Reality becomes more fluid, less bound to the usual sequences. For those who can recognize these windows, there is an opportunity to step into paths that would be impossible during times of stability. It is in these unstable periods that the most dramatic leaps into new realities can happen, not through effort, but through entering the open portal when it appears. Even outside of major instability windows, it is possible to move between higher and wider probability lines by surfing the edge currents. This involves maintaining a deliberate energetic instability when you sense that a threshold is near. Instead of trying to settle down into a known outcome, you allow yourself to hover at the edge, where nothing is fully decided yet. This state of energetic imbalance keeps you in a space where multiple realities are still available, not yet collapsed into one solid track. Riding these edge currents means embracing uncertainty for a short period of time without forcing a resolution. It is like standing at the shoreline of a vast ocean during a storm, waiting for the right wave to lift you. Staying in energetic instability is uncomfortable because it defies the mind's craving for certainty, but it is exactly in that discomfort that the highest shifts become possible. By mastering the art of surfing these edges without panicking or freezing, you open yourself to realities that are not visible from the solid ground of locked probabilities. The probability lattice is not fixed by outside forces. It bends and reshapes itself in response to energy signatures that break the patterns, locking it in place. The lattice is alive, sensitive, and responsive, but it requires cracks, glitches, windows, and edges to open its deeper possibilities. Without these disruptions, life moves forward on rails that feel predetermined. But with the right disturbances introduced at the right times, it becomes possible to access outcomes that otherwise would have remained hidden behind the walls of habit and expectation. Cracking the lattice is not about fighting reality. It is about understanding the delicate structures behind it and learning how to slip through the seams when they loosen. Chapter 5. The Force Field of Intentionality. Intent is not just a thought or a wish. It is a force that has its own energy density. When intent is weak, it has no weight in the field of reality. It fades away like mist in the sun, unable to hold shape against stronger energies moving around it. But when intent becomes dense, so concentrated that it stops being a casual idea and hardens into an energetic mass, it begins to reshape the field itself. Dense intent is heavy. It bends the paths of probability around it. It pulls energy, people, and circumstances into new formations. It does not plead or hope. It commands by its sheer existence. The world around you begins to reorganize, not because you fight with it, but because your field carries a presence so dense that weaker structures cannot hold their shape against it. True intent does not chase outcomes. It forces outcomes to bend toward it. When intent reaches a certain strength, it does not act like a message sent out to the universe and then forgotten. Instead, it behaves more like a gravitational field. Just as planets are held in orbit by the invisible pull of a star, experiences are drawn toward strong intent by the unseen gravity of your energy. Events, opportunities, and connections begin circling closer, pulled in by a force that does not allow them to drift freely anymore. They are captured by the orbit of your field. It is not necessary to constantly watch or control this process once the gravitational field is active. The intent itself keeps pulling. If intent is clear, unwavering, and carries enough density, it sets up an energetic inevitability. Even if movement seems slow at first, the orbit continues tightening until manifestation locks into place. There is a principle known as burn-in that explains how intent becomes part of the reality fabric itself. Reality, like the mind, needs repetition to recognize and integrate new patterns. Every time you hold a strong, focused, energetic intent, it presses a slight impression into the field. One repetition might make only a shallow mark, but over time, like carving into stone, the repetition deepens the groove. It burns the shape of the new reality into the energetic structure. Eventually, the mark becomes so deep that the field must give way and conform to it. At that point, the reality connected to the intent is no longer just a possibility. It becomes an inevitable structure because it has been carved into the quantum substrate. This burn-in effect does not depend on shouting louder or feeling more desperate. It depends on the repeated presence of pure, undiluted, energetic intent pressing steadily into the fabric of what exists. An advanced aspect of working with pure intent involves anchoring events ahead of time. This is the practice of energetically placing finished outcomes into the field before physical circumstances show any sign of them. In this method, the outcome is treated as if it already sits solidly on the timeline, not hoped for, not waited for, anchored. The energy of the outcome is pressed into the future field space with such clarity and density that it becomes a landmark reality must eventually move toward. In the unseen structure of the timeline, it creates a gravitational dip that future moments naturally flow into. This is not imagining or pretending. It is the placement of energetic mass into the timeline, securing it into position by force of dense, unwavering intent. Once anchored, the timeline begins reshaping itself quietly, bending the surrounding probabilities until they match the energetic mass of the outcome already set in place. At the heart of working with pure, energetic intent is the creation of what can be called the non-negotiable vibration. This is the frequency of intent that has no gaps, no doubts, no hesitations left inside it. It is not loud or forceful in appearance, but inside it is completely sealed. It cannot be bargained with, questioned, or weakened. When you hold a non-negotiable vibration around an intent, the quantum field has no choice but to comply because there is no weaker structure within you for the field to mirror instead. The vibration is not trying to manifest. It is the energetic fact of the outcome already existing in field form. Compliance does not happen because you push or plead. It happens because, at the energetic level, the field is obedient to coherence and density. Weaker, more fractured vibrations fall apart under the pressure of strong, non-negotiable intent. Reality bends to match the presence that refuses to dissolve. Energetic intent, when it becomes pure, dense, gravitational, repetitively burned into the field, anchored ahead of time, and sealed into a non-negotiable vibration, stops acting like a wish. It becomes a force of construction. It reshapes what exists in ways that are not visible at first but become undeniable over time. The outer world, at first seeming resistant or random, slowly gives way to the unrelenting press of pure intent. What begins as an unseen pressure eventually becomes the blueprint upon which new realities are built. Intent in this pure form is not mystical. It is mechanical at the energetic level. The field responds not to words or desires, but to the undeniable gravitational mass of real intent pressing into its unseen structures, without break, without weakness, and without permission. Chapter 6. Quantum Event. Catalyst reality structures are normally stable because they are built from repeated patterns. These patterns run automatically, holding together what you experience day after day. But when a system becomes overloaded with too many clashing patterns, it can no longer sustain its old shape. It enters a point where the field itself must reset. Pattern overload activation happens when you deliberately or naturally introduce enough new or conflicting energies into your field that the old structures cannot balance them anymore. The system is forced into a collapse and rebuild cycle. During the overload moment, the familiar loops of experience can break open. The rigid tracks that normally hold events tightly together begin to unravel. It is not destruction for the sake of chaos, but a strategic tipping point where outdated energetic architectures are finally too strained to continue. The reset clears the space for quantum-level shifts to occur where there was once only repetition. Temporal tension buildup is another powerful catalyst. Time in the energetic field is not flat. It stretches and compresses, depending on the pressure you place across different points of your timeline. When you consciously or unconsciously load strong energetic tension into future possibilities, while maintaining a mismatch with the current moment, a growing strain develops. This strain acts like a stretched rubber band pulled tighter and tighter between two timelines. the one you are living and the one you are building. As the tension intensifies, a critical moment arrives where the gap can no longer be sustained without snapping. At that breaking point, reality can lurch forward, collapsing the gap and allowing a breakthrough event to occur. The pressure you apply across time is not about wishing or forcing, but about building an undeniable energetic pull between the present and the possible future, until the quantum structure must choose a side. The mixing of strong intention with chaotic movement creates another key catalyst called intention-chaos infusion. Many systems grow stagnant because they become too orderly, too predictable. Every movement follows the same narrow grooves, reinforcing the same old results. When strong intention is paired with chaotic, unpredictable action, the old grooves are disturbed. The chaos injects instability into the system, making it harder for the field to simply mirror back the old structures. Meanwhile, the strong underlying intent acts like a hidden compass, guiding the chaos toward useful openings rather than random disorder. This combination cracks open stuck realities faster than pure order or pure chaos alone ever could. The chaos prevents the field from locking into old rhythms while the intent seeds new possibilities into the open cracks. It is the deliberate blending of disruption and focus, a paradox that forces the field into states of unexpected emergence where rapid shifts can occur. Another powerful ignition method lies in surge point initiation. Emotional energy is not a passive thing. It is one of the most potent forms of raw quantum fuel. Surge points happen when emotional energy naturally spikes to high intensity, often triggered by strong external or internal events. These surges, if identified and used properly, create openings where energy leaps across timelines instead of walking the slow path. A surge point collapses normal resistance within the field for a brief moment, like a temporary short circuit in the fabric of experience. During these moments, when your field is flooded with unusually high energy, a quantum jump becomes far more likely. The surge floods the system with more energy than it usually handles, making it easier to shatter stuck patterns and leap into different event chains. Identifying and riding these surges is not about suppressing or controlling the energy, but recognizing when the system is highly charged and moving with the wave instead of against it. Energetic dissonance. Shockwave is another sharp tool for cracking open quantum shifts. Normally, people strive for internal harmony, aligning thoughts, feelings, and actions into a smooth flow. But deliberate temporary dissonance can create a shockwave effect that destabilizes the inner field just enough to unlock new nodes of reality. This involves holding two or more powerful, conflicting energetic states at once without immediately trying to resolve them. The clash between these energies builds a friction within the field. If held steadily for a short time, the friction does not collapse the system. It creates tiny fractures. Through these fractures, new event possibilities can leak into awareness, possibilities that were completely invisible under normal, stable conditions. The shock wave jars the field, loosening rigid event structures and exposing hidden pathways that cannot be seen when everything inside is calm and orderly. It is not about living permanently in chaos or confusion, but about using deliberate, temporary inner tension as a wedge to pry open new doors. Quantum event catalysts are not passive forces. They are active ignition points that can be recognized, created, and amplified to initiate rapid changes in the structure of reality. They depend on the understanding that fields must sometimes be destabilized to allow higher realities to emerge. Without these ignition points, The field prefers to stay in its familiar circuits, mirroring the same outcomes repeatedly. Catalysts act as controlled disturbances, intelligent injections of instability that push the energetic field beyond its comfort zone and into the space where real shifts become possible. By understanding how to use pattern overloads, temporal tensions, chaos infusions, emotional surges, and dissonance shock waves, it becomes possible to move through quantum thresholds that would otherwise remain locked by the inertia of stability. In these moments of disturbance, reality itself becomes soft enough to be reshaped. Chapter 7. Navigating Post-Quantum Shift Reality. When a major quantum shift occurs, the changes are not immediately reflected in the external world. This phenomenon is due to what is known as the energy lag reality principle. Internally, your frequency has altered, and you may begin to experience a new sense of self, a new perspective, or a new path. However, the world around you often lags behind this transformation. Your thoughts, emotions, and internal shifts happen in a time frame that far outpaces the material world's ability to catch up. This lag can be disorienting as it creates a space between who you are becoming and what is still showing up externally. It's important to understand that this gap is a natural part of the process. Stabilizing this lag involves holding steady in your new frequency, continuing to align with your internal changes, and trusting that the external reality will gradually shift to match your new energetic state. This requires conscious effort to resist the temptation to fall back into old thought patterns or behaviors simply because the outer world hasn't adjusted yet. It's a reminder that reality is not always immediate. It follows an internal rhythm that, at times, can appear slow. Along with the energy lag, there is the delicate task of balancing integration versus disruption. After a quantum shift, new realities emerge, but they can often feel unstable or disorienting. The key here is to anchor the new reality without causing disruption to the momentum you've gained through the shift. Many people struggle after a major change because they are overwhelmed by the chaos of the shift, or conversely, they try too hard to force the new reality into place too quickly, resulting in a counterproductive collapse. Integration involves allowing new energies, new ways of thinking, and new possibilities to settle in and harmonize with your existing self without overwhelming you. Disruption occurs when this process is rushed or resisted, creating energetic conflict within. The balance lies in nurturing the new frequencies that arise from the shift while giving them time and space to merge naturally into your current energetic makeup. There is no need to force these changes. Rather, it's about staying grounded and allowing them to integrate at their own pace, even if this requires temporarily sitting with discomfort or dissonance. This balance is what keeps the shift from falling apart before it is fully realized. Once the shift has begun to integrate, it's vital to use energetic anchoring techniques to lock in the new frequencies. Without proper anchoring, old patterns are more likely to resurface and reclaim their hold over your reality. The idea of anchoring is to establish a solid, energetic foundation for the new frequencies you are embodying. This can be done by repeatedly focusing on the new energies, reinforcing them through small but consistent actions that align with this new reality. Anchoring doesn't require force or intense effort, but rather a simple, persistent alignment of your actions, thoughts, and emotions with the new state of being. This could mean incorporating new habits that reflect the energy of your shift, engaging in activities that reflect the new frequencies you are embodying, or simply holding space within your energetic field for the new reality to stabilize. By continuously reinforcing these frequencies, you create a strong energetic anchor that helps prevent the field from reverting back to its previous state. While anchoring is important, it's equally important to recognize the reality recalibration tolerance required during this period of transformation. After a quantum shift, temporary chaos is inevitable. The reconfiguration of your energetic structure will disrupt the balance of your old reality for a while. Your surroundings, your interactions, and your experiences might feel disconnected or chaotic as they adjust to match the new energy you are now radiating. This chaos is not a sign of failure or misalignment. It is simply a necessary phase in recalibrating the field. During this time, you must cultivate a tolerance for this temporary instability. The danger lies in trying to escape or resist this chaos, as it will only delay the recalibration. True embodiment of the new reality requires that you stay in the discomfort, embracing it as a natural part of the process. Tolerating this temporary phase of flux without trying to control it or push it away is a critical step in allowing the new reality to fully take root and stabilize. One of the biggest challenges people face after a quantum shift is what's known as the quantum drift effect. This occurs when, after the shift, there's a tendency to slip back into the old timeline, especially when faced with external pressure or familiar situations. The new reality can feel foreign, and the comfort of the old patterns can be alluring. The key to preventing this drift is to stay aware of the pull of the old timeline and actively resist the urge to fall back into old ways. This does not mean rejecting the past completely, but rather choosing not to revert to a frequency that no longer serves you. The quantum drift effect happens when the gravitational pull of old patterns is stronger than the new, unfamiliar field you are stepping into. To prevent this, it's essential to consistently remind yourself of your new reality, to reinforce the frequencies you are now embodying, and to choose to act in alignment with this higher state of being, even when it feels uncomfortable. Slipping back into the old timeline can occur when you forget to maintain a strong connection with your new energetic state or when external circumstances overwhelm you. Staying grounded in your new frequencies through intentional actions and thoughts is the best way to avoid this drift and stay fully integrated in the new reality. Navigating the post-quantum shift reality is not a passive process. It requires active engagement with the shifts you've made, as well as patience to endure the temporary instability that often accompanies major energetic changes. The energy lag, the integration disruption balance, the anchoring of new frequencies, the tolerance for chaos, and the prevention of quantum drift are all interconnected elements in the process of stabilizing your new reality. Understanding and working with these dynamics allows you to fully embody the changes and continue on the path toward a completely transformed experience. Chapter 8. Becoming a Quantum Architect. Becoming a quantum architect involves a level of reality creation that operates far beyond simple manifestation. It is the art of consciously building and manipulating multiple layers of energy to craft complex, multifaceted realities. One of the key techniques in this process is reality layer construction, which focuses on consciously layering different energetic frequencies in such a way that they overlap and reinforce each other. By layering energies in a deliberate manner, the reality that forms becomes more stable and robust. Each layer represents a different frequency, a different expression of possibility. Some of these layers may correspond to emotional, mental, or physical frequencies, while others could be related to specific desires, intentions, or circumstances. The goal is to build a web of interwoven energies that form a coherent, solid structure capable of manifesting desired outcomes more efficiently. This process is similar to laying down a strong foundation before constructing a building. The more layers that are consciously crafted and harmonized, the more durable the resulting reality becomes. However, this requires both precision and an understanding of how different energetic frequencies interact with one another. If not managed properly, the layers can conflict or collapse. Therefore, the careful integration of these layers allows the quantum architect to create stable, long-lasting realities, with each layer contributing to a larger energetic tapestry. To effectively create and manage such complex energetic structures, quantum architects must develop a skill known as multiplexed energy management. This ability enables them to manage multiple energetic projects simultaneously without overwhelming or collapsing the field. The principle of multiplexing in this context is similar to juggling multiple tasks at once without letting any fall apart. A quantum architect is able to direct energy into various aspects of their reality, whether that's the creation of new opportunities, the development of personal traits, or the manifestation of material results, without draining or destabilizing their core energetic field. The principle of multiplexing in this context is similar to juggling multiple tasks at once without letting any fall apart. A quantum architect is able to direct energy into various aspects of their reality, whether that's the creation of new opportunities, the development of personal traits, or the manifestation of material results, without draining or destabilizing their core energetic field. This requires an advanced understanding of how energy flows and how different energetic demands interact. For instance, when one project requires a surge of energy, it must be supported by an existing structure of balanced, stable energies that allow the surge to happen without causing disruption. Simultaneously, managing multiple projects requires fine-tuning, awareness, and a continuous, steady flow of energy that can be diverted to whichever task requires it most urgently. The quantum architect is able to keep the energetic system well-oiled, ensuring that all projects are progressing without creating friction between them. This skill is crucial for long-term mastery because as reality construction becomes more complex, the ability to run multiple energetic streams will determine how sustainable the created realities are. Another aspect of mastering reality at the quantum level is the architect's imprint. This concept revolves around the ability to leave permanent energetic fingerprints on the structures one creates. When a quantum architect builds a reality, they are not merely adding to the fabric of the universe temporarily. They are altering it in a way that leaves a lasting mark. These imprints are energetic signatures that shape the ongoing flow of reality in subtle yet significant ways. An imprint is not something that can be easily undone. It carries the essence of the architect's intent and energy into the field permanently. These imprints function as beacons, anchoring specific frequencies into the collective energetic matrix. They have the potential to shift the path of events, interactions, and the environment itself. Because these imprints are formed from the architect's intention and energy, they are aligned with the quantum nature of reality. They do not just interact with the field, they imprint it with specific outcomes and frequencies. To leave a permanent mark on reality, the architect must have mastery over their energetic frequency and an unwavering clarity of intent. Any misalignment or fluctuation in energy could result in a less stable imprint. But when done with precision, the imprint can create lasting, powerful changes that will resonate over time. Predictive field engineering is another critical skill in the arsenal of the quantum architect. It allows them to perceive energetic patterns before they manifest physically. This skill involves tuning into the subtle signals of the quantum field, sensing the impending flow of energy before it becomes tangible. Just as a storm can be sensed before it arrives, a quantum architect can feel the buildup of energy in a particular direction, recognizing the patterns that suggest a certain reality is about to unfold. This early detection allows the architect to adjust their approach, tweak the energy, or redirect it before it fully manifests. It's akin to catching a wave before it crests, ensuring that the architect can ride it with mastery rather than being overwhelmed by it. Predictive field engineering requires acute sensitivity to the ebb and flow of energy in all its forms, as well as the foresight to adjust the course of events before they fully take shape. It is this proactive engagement with the quantum field that sets apart true quantum architects. They don't simply react to life's unfolding events. They are able to anticipate and guide them with precision. Lastly, self-evolution through field mastery is an ongoing process for the quantum architect. As the architect refines their ability to construct and shape reality, they also evolve on a personal level. This evolution is not about self-improvement in the traditional sense, but about expanding beyond previous limitations. The more mastery one gains over the field of reality creation, the more their own being is expanded. This process becomes a feedback loop where each new level of mastery accelerates personal growth in ways that transcend previous human limitations. As reality construction becomes more sophisticated, the architect begins to transcend the usual boundaries of human perception and experience. They begin to operate from a level of consciousness that is attuned to the quantum field's highest potential. It is a continual expansion of awareness, energy control, and interaction with the fabric of existence, allowing the architect to function at higher and higher levels of mastery. The process is not static. It's a constant cycle of expansion and refinement, where each new layer of mastery unlocks new potential, both in the architect's reality and in their own evolution as a being. Through the consistent application of these techniques, the quantum architect transforms into a being capable of not only creating powerful realities, but also becoming an integral part of the ongoing expansion of consciousness itself. In this journey through the quantum principles of reality creation, we've explored the art of actively shaping your energetic field, unlocking hidden possibilities, and wielding the pure force of intention to craft your reality. From mastering the manipulation of energetic densities to becoming a quantum architect, we've uncovered powerful techniques to transform your life and transcend your current limitations. Now it's your turn. Like this video to strengthen the energetic connection with this knowledge. Because when you like, you amplify its presence in your life. Share it with others to extend the reach of this powerful information, because sharing it creates a ripple effect that magnifies its impact. And subscribe to the channel to ensure continuous access to even more quantum wisdom. Because when you subscribe, you're choosing to align with a path of limitless potential. Each action you take shapes your reality further, just like the quantum shifts we've uncovered together.